Hello, people. It's Spirit House here, Spirit House. Welcome to any new subscribers on my channel. Um, Today, I will be reading part one of The Message of the Divine Iliad by Walter Russell. And part one is 6 chapters from the Divine Iliad. And the first book is the Book of Desire, a Communion. Thy heavens, O my father, mother, speak thou to me, lest my words to man be but my words, not thine and mine. Earth is far, I behold it not, know it not, but I sense it afar through flux threads which bind me to it lightly. In me, thee, the light of myself, thee, the two lights of my far body, which lies enfolded in thy body, awaiting self of it, self of me, and self of thee, at its reborning. Questionings which I must answer in words, for which there are no words. Intent am I upon the pulse beat of thy thinking, O my Father. Extend thou the two interweaving lights of thy thinking to my consciousness, that my knowing shall rightly interpret thy thinking through the pulse beat of my thinking. He is just basically saying that God give him the ability to relay and articulate it in words that are not his own, but of God's through him. So that's basically what the communion part is about. And then here is part one, and it is called the Word. Write thou these words for man. Through my messengers I have told man to cast his bread upon the waters, and it would return to him multiplied. But he comprehendeth it not, even to this day. Through my messengers I have told man that it is not easy for him who loveth the riches of the earth alone to enter my kingdom. But he still fails to comprehend that he may have great riches and still find his way to me through obeying my one law. Write thou my law for him 100 times, yea, 100 times and 100 times, and exemplify it unceasingly, that he may know it inviolate, that he may know it irrevocable, and that he may find ecstasy in obeying it. Oft said words, desire ye what ye will, and it shall be thine. All my universe will give it thee in the strength of thy desiring, and in the strength of thy action in reaching out for thy desire. Heed ye thy desire, lest they be unlawful. Measure ye thy desires carefully against their opposites, lest unbalanced desires breed their unbalanced kind to arise and smite thee. For again, I say, my one principle of my one law is founded upon the solid rock of equal interchange between all pairs of opposite things, opposite conditions or opposite transactions between men. Prevail on earth as it is in heaven. That which I divide to give to earths and their surrounding heavens of space is equal. That which earths give to their surrounding space balances that which space gives to earth. See thou my will thus working irrevocably in the starry systems which constitute my immortal eternal body. Note thou the precision of earth paths through their heavens. Know thou that such precision is a result of obedience to my will, which my law is. Workings of my law in the firmament of my body to man who knows those workings but denies me in them. Tell man my rhythms are absolute, else the interlacing of earth paths through their heavens could not be. Tell him also that chaos must arise from his unbalanced comings and goings, his givings and takings, even as chaos would arise from disobedience to my will in the comings and goings of earth paths through the heavens, or the givings and regivings of their interchanging pressures. Earth unequally, with earth's taking of the skies, tornadoes tell both earth and skies that I am within and without them, yea, within and without every particle of them, and theirs is the agony of disobedience to my will. Not they not till they obey my will do they find peace and rest in my tranquility. These do I balance with my will as I balance all divided pairs in my universe of me. Likewise, when man takes aught from earth and gives naught to me for re-giving, through self of him, toxins arise within him which are tornadoes of his self-quelling. Part 3. Ye are my body. Hear thou me when I say that thy desires are thyself, yea, both body and spirit of thee. That which thou wouldst possess is thee, even though thou possess it not. In body it is thee, in pattern, seed, and soul it is thee. Not evade. Thou thyself created thyself in thy image. If thou desirest gold of the earth without balancing thy taking of it by giving gold of heaven in equal measure, thy very soul records the changing of thy unbalanced soul pattern to the measure of thy unbalancing. He who discords the patterns of my balanced will discords his very seed. Its rhythms he must make absolute, even as the disturbed rhythms of earth's storms must be made absolute. From this, my decree, there's no escape for man, nor star, nor galaxy in my universe which I imagined into seeming being to manifest me. Balance thy desires, and they will bless thee with multiples of their kind. Beware lest thy taking shall outweigh thy giving and gain thee not. Part 4. Consider well my will, disregard it not, for thou shalt well pay heavily for even 1 whit of its breaching. For I am balance, as heaven and earth of my balanced radial body vary not 1 whit in their rhythm balance. So shall man vary not 1 whit. Unknowing man unthinkingly counts upon his own power to set aside my one law to fit the measure of his desires. But, I say, I alone hold balance. Man walks through his cycles upon a tautened rope. Where his foot toucheth, I am there, giving him foothold as the fulcrum of his effort. For my rest at that fulcrum, he takes the power I give to him to express his desire. Without me, he can do naught. And behold, me also at each end of the lever of his action to balance his unbalancing in my universe which knows no unbalance. Yea, be it ever known that 2 eyes of man's very God watch over him, each action of each man whose body my body is. And if man would know where those 2 eyes of his God are located, I say seek them at each end of his wavering pole which keeps him upright upon his tautened rope. For man cannot be without me, even though he deny me in him. Have a care, therefore, that desires of man for things on earth be balanced by desires for heavenly blessings without which man has not. Part 5. That I, thy God, ruler over all things of my imagining. For I am absolute, and all things which extendeth from my light of my imagining are absolute. Likewise I am perfection, as I am truth. All things which extendeth from me are perfect, they are truth. That which seems imperfect to man's eyes is but seeming, for he sees not all. Could he see all, he would see all perfect. As the unfinished picture seems imperfect in man's eyes, for it is not the whole, it is the perfect could he see the whole. Likewise, each brushstroke of a concept is perfect for that stage of its unfolding. Likewise, each stage of man's unfolding is a perfect part of the whole idea of man's unfolding. There is no evil in it, nor is there imperfection anywhere. There is but the one whole of everything in me, and all is perfect, all is absolute. For my universe is but the forever unfolding refolding of my one whole idea. As my whole idea is perfect, so also is each part perfect. For I watch over all borning things until their rebirth in me. At their birth in me, their perfection is my perfection. Likewise, at the rebirth in me, their perfection is their inheritance from me. At each stage of their unfolding and refolding, they are absolute and perfect, for I am absolute and perfect. That which man lacks in his knowing is still his in me, awaiting his desire for knowing. When he desires to know, he may know. Likewise, that which man seemingly unbalances in his actions is balanced in me, awaiting his balancing. And that day will come, for man cannot evade that day. Unbalance and imperfection exist not. Therefore, save in man's timed seeing. For him who knows my light, there is no timed seeing. Desire of man or tree or earth or giant nebula is balanced in me always. Unbalance exists not in my house. Imperfection and untruth likewise exist not in my house. Likewise, error and evil exist not in my house. These are but each end of a man's balance pole upon which he walks waveringly through his cycles, knowing not that I am there measuring his unbalancing to void it at the other end with equal opposed measures. For I balance all things as they occur by voiding all things as they occur. For hark, thou me, as I again say that all my universe is but my imaginings, and I am not my imaginings. Thus do I watch over earths which desire extensions of their paths to outer reaches farther from their mother suns. 2 eyes have I to watch over each of these, 2 eyes to balance each with each, and 2 to balance each with every other thing that is. And likewise, when earth gives birth to the moons, 2 eyes have I, let me start that over. And likewise, when earth gives birth to moon, 2 eyes have I for these 2 also, 2 eyes to measure paths for them which balance with paths of all things else in the universe. And likewise, when earth mothers men and other extensions of my life, to pulse my pulse of life and live in me, 2 eyes have I for each countless part of them, to watch over each separate part, to keep it one with all my universe. Not the veriest microcosm in all my electric body, which is not thus double pulled, within and without, by my 2 watchful eyes. No path of man or bird or creeping thing lies unmeasured and unwatched by me. All paths of all things in my radial body are but one path, for of a verity I say, that slightest move of creeping thing on this small earth is recorded upon all paths of all things, even to giant star beyond man's seeing. Thus do I control all desires of all things which manifest my one idea. Likewise, I see to it that all their happenings, which man calls bad, or good, or error, or evil, add up to the 0 of balance in me. For there is naught in my universe which can be added to, or subtracted from, which is more or less than the 0 from which all things spring into their seeming being, to end where they began for re-beginning. Hear me again say that there are not 2 halves of a divided one in all the pairs of opposites of my universe. There are but a seeming 2, and each one of these is of the other one while seeming to be 2, and each becomes the other one sequentially to maintain that seeming. There is naught upon the earth which comes not from heavens. Likewise, there is naught within the heavens which comes not from their centering earths and suns. Each quickens the other with the giving of each to each equally for each other's equal re-giving. Again, I say that equal interchange is my will. He who desires aught in my cosmos must obey my will. He who so obeys my will commands my will to fruition of his desire. Part 6. My word when I say that desires of man are patterned seed which repeat their kind. That pattern which man fashions into seed of his desire will multiply in like form for his reaping. And the reaping will be as sure as that the dawn cometh to him unasked by him. For man is what his desire is. His image is the pattern of his thinking. Observe ye all men my one inviolate law of rhythmic balanced interchange in all thy thinking, and in all thy dealing. Happiness or anguish will be thine in the measure of its observance. Should ye desire to kill, the whole power of my universe will help ye kill, but by the sword ye killeth with, shall ye also be killed. Likewise, my law will give all power to aid him who would bless another by a kindly act. He who so desires to bless shall reap blessings from seed of that desire multiplied 100 times. A humble act done unperceived in my name will open wide the door of my kingdom for him who doeth right action for right action's sake alone. But he who doeth mighty things for self-glory shall not know my light. Desire for thus acting, thus manifesting me, is manifoldly blessed. But he who maketh loud protestations for the same act does it not in my name, but in his own, deny me in him. Verily I say, he who giveth in my name storeth up great riches in the rhythms of heaven, which are as immortal as the soul seed of his self is immortal. But he who taketh riches in his own name, giving not of his self to me to void the greed of his self-taking, gathers not to himself but riches which are as mortal as the clay of this earth's self is mortal. Things alone of the earth which man desires are but things of earth to be returned to earth with bones of him. But things of earth, heaven blessed by me, are as eternal in the immortality of his self-recording soul as the light of me is eternal. He who desireth riches of earth alone, denying me in him, shall dwell in outer darkness of his own making until he shall desire me strongly. Even to him will I give all he asketh without stinting, yea, and even more. But he, having more than all he sought, will have naught but worthless dross of his earth desire. And darkness will enshroud him. No light will be there in his eyes, nor will he know love. Having desired the dark without my light, he will have but acquired the dark. He who desireth peace on earth must find it in heaven. Therefore I say, he who desireth aught through me shall have his desire throughout eternity, for it shall be written in his recording soul in lines of light. But he who gaineth riches of earth alone, with lack of me in them, writeth black lines upon his eternal soul, which he must whiten through long ages of undoing. For I say, there are two opposed ways in the journey of man from his jungle, from his jungle to his mountaintop. One leads backwards to the blackness of his primal jungle. The other way leads to me. Man's way for man's purpose in manifesting me is to find his way out of the dark let me start this paragraph over this verse. Man may choose his way, for man's purpose in manifesting me is to find his way out of the dark to the light of me throughout long ages of new knowing, through repeated actions. He who walks toward the light through right action writes new lines of light upon his soul, but he who walks toward the dark takes on the dark, and no light is there in him. Hear thou me when I say that man writes his own record of his thinking and his acting in his own immortal soul. And that which man writes there will be repeated in the pattern seed of the reborning of that man unto eternity. Some far day will he come to me to find rest, but until that day of knowing me in him, he shall walketh the treadmill of earth unceasingly. There are those among men of earth who deem desire unholy. These seek holiness and me through the suppression of all desires. These sit in quietude, seeking me through meditation, but acting not to manifest my purpose. Yet these ask alms in my name of those who fulfill my purpose through thought followed by action. I command thee to tell to these misguided holy men, who sell their holiness for a price to those who unknowingly buy not of holiness for their wasted gold, that they who thus sit begging by the road in mortifying rags shall never find me whom they seek until they act to fulfill my purpose. Tell thou them that they are as unclean in thy father-mother's eyes as the stench of them is unwholesome to men of earth. Said I not these very words in the beginning of thy full knowing of me in thee? Desire is of the soul being record of desire fulfilled by action for repeating its pattern in the seed. And also said I not to thee, my creating universe is the continuing record of my eternal thinking, followed by action to record the patterned image forms of my thinking. And again said I not to thee, my sole desire is to think for the purpose of expressing the one idea of my thinking through image forms of my imagining engaged in purposeful action. And also have I not said, my cosmos of the divided lights of my thinking, which is recorded by the making of my earths and heavens, and all my children of the earths and heavens, all made in my image, is my body centered by the light of me, created by desire in me to manifest desire in me? Hear thou me when I again say that my recorded universe is purposeful. It is idea expressed through action. It is not just idea and thought alone, being never writ through the inner action of the interweaving lights of my thinking. Wherever I say, Wherefore I say, there would be in no universe where my thinking not recorded by the action of my extended lights of desire in me. If these useless beggars by the road think themselves holy for the suppression of desire to fulfill my purpose by actions which fulfill my purpose, then am I, their one God, unholy for desiring them to fulfill my purpose. Again and yet again shalt thou, my messenger, write down these my words and say them unto all men. Desire ye what ye will, and behold, it standeth before thee. Throughout the eons it has been thine without thy knowing, even though thou hast but just asked for it now. Sit thou not and ask, acting not, for unless thou reach out for thy desire, it shall not walk thy way to thee, unaided by the strong arms. Behold, I am within all things, centering them. I am without all things, controlling them. But I am not those things which I center and control. I am the center of my universe of me. Everywhere I am is the center of all things, and I am everywhere. Thus said the Universal One, Father, Mother of the heavens and earth, and all his children of the heavens and earths, to me upon the mountaintop in waves of the two lights of his thinking. End of part 1.